The life you imagine for yourself is rarely destroyed by one catastrophic event. More often, it is quietly stolen by small acts of surrender that seem harmless in the moment. One unnecessary distraction becomes an hour. One excuse becomes a habit. One emotional reaction becomes a personality. Before long, you wake up realizing that years have passed, yet the person you hope to become still exists only in your imagination. You tell yourself that tomorrow will be different, that next week you will finally become disciplined, focused, and impossible to distract. Yet tomorrow arrives carrying the same weaknesses as yesterday, because nothing inside you has truly changed. This silent cycle has trapped millions of people, and it continues not because they lack intelligence, talent, or opportunity, but because they have never discovered the hidden principle that allows discipline to survive when motivation disappears. The ancient Stoics understood something that modern society constantly forgets. They knew that self-discipline is not created by excitement. It is not built through inspirational speeches or temporary bursts of determination. It is forged in silence, strengthened through repetition, and protected by a way of thinking that has survived more than 2,000 years. These principles shaped emperors, generals, philosophers, and ordinary people who refused to become slaves to emotion. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire while surrounded by betrayal, war, disease, and endless pressure. Yet his greatest battle was never against enemies outside his walls. It was against the impulses within his own mind. Epictetus was born into slavery, possessing almost nothing the world considers valuable, yet he became one of history's greatest teachers because he discovered a freedom that no master could take away. Their strength was never accidental. It was built upon a secret that remains available to anyone willing to understand it. Most people search for discipline in the wrong place. They believe it is something they feel before they act. They wait for confidence, inspiration, or perfect circumstances. But the Stoics reversed this entire way of thinking. They believed action creates strength, not the other way around. Waiting to feel ready is simply another form of surrender. Every day you postpone a necessary action because you do not feel motivated. You quietly teach your mind that emotions are in command. Eventually your emotions become your master, and your reason becomes their servant. This is the invisible prison that traps countless lives. Imagine a ship caught in a violent storm. The waves crash without mercy. The wind changes direction without warning, and the sky offers no certainty about what comes next. A frightened sailor curses the sea because he cannot control it. A wise captain focuses only on the sails, the wheel, and his own decisions. The Stoics believed life works exactly the same way. The storms never disappear. Criticism, disappointment, failure, rejection, temptation, and uncertainty continue to exist. The question is never whether these forces will arrive. The question is whether your attention remains fixed upon them or upon yourself. This is the famous Stoic principle known as the dichotomy of control. It teaches that every moment presents two worlds. One belongs to you, the other never will. Your thoughts, your judgments, your choices, your actions, your discipline, these are yours. Other people's opinions, economic conditions, luck, praise, insults, and outcomes belong to another world entirely. The tragedy of modern life is that countless people sacrifice the first world trying to dominate the second. They exhaust themselves chasing approval they cannot guarantee, fearing criticism they cannot prevent, and worrying about events they cannot influence. In doing so, they neglect the only territory where true power exists. This hidden shift changes everything. The disciplined person does not waste precious energy demanding that life become easier. Instead, they quietly become stronger. Every obstacle becomes another opportunity to strengthen the only thing completely under their authority, their character. This is why Stoicism is not merely a philosophy. It is a practical training ground for the mind. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself repeatedly that every morning he would encounter selfishness, arrogance, dishonesty, envy, and ignorance. Notice what is remarkable about this expectation. He did not complain that such people existed. He accepted their existence before the day even began. Because he expected difficulty, difficulty lost its power to surprise him. Modern people often suffer twice. First, because something painful happens, and second, because they cannot believe it happened. The Stoic removes the second layer of suffering by accepting reality before it arrives. Acceptance, however, should never be confused with passivity. The Stoics never taught surrender to weakness. They taught surrender only to reality, so that energy could be redirected toward meaningful action. Complaining changes nothing. Self-mastery changes everything. Every complaint consumes strength that could have been invested in improvement. Every excuse delays the transformation that discipline demands. There is another secret that separates the disciplined from the distracted, and it is one that today's world desperately resists. The strongest people rarely announce what they are building. They understand the immense power of silence. While others broadcast every ambition, every new project, every future victory, the Stoic quietly continues the work. They understand that speaking about achievement often creates the comforting illusion that progress has already been made. Praise received before accomplishment weakens the hunger required to finish the journey. Silence also protects the mind from unnecessary conflict. Not every criticism deserves an answer. Not every insult deserves a defense. Imagine how much peace would return to your life if you stopped treating every opinion as a personal attack. Most arguments do not improve your character. They merely drain your attention. The Stoic asks a simple question before responding. Does this reaction strengthen my character, or merely satisfy my ego? That single question has prevented countless unnecessary battles. Epictetus taught that if someone speaks poorly of you, remember that they criticize only the version of you they believe they know. They cannot see your entire character, your intentions, your struggles, or your growth. Why then should their judgment become more important than your own? The disciplined individual understands that reputation belongs to the outside world. Character belongs to the inside. Reputation rises and falls according to other people's opinions. Character grows according to your own actions. One is fragile. The other becomes stronger with every difficult choice. This is why unbreakable self-discipline cannot be purchased, borrowed, or inherited. It is earned through thousands of invisible victories that no audience applauds. It is built each time you choose what is right instead of what is comfortable. It grows every moment you refuse to become a prisoner of impulse. Eventually there comes a day when discipline is no longer something you struggle to maintain. It becomes part of who you are. At that point, the world may still remain chaotic, unpredictable, and noisy, but within you, there exists a calm that no circumstance can easily disturb. The Stoics gave this transformation a name that continues to challenge people even today. Amor fati, the love of fate. Not merely the acceptance of what happens, but the willingness to embrace it as necessary. This idea seems impossible at first because every instinct tells us to resist discomfort. We wish difficult moments had never arrived. We replay conversations that cannot be changed. We resent failures that already belong to the past. Yet the Stoics recognized a profound truth. Every moment spent wishing reality were different is a moment stolen from becoming stronger within reality itself. Consider the blacksmith standing before a blazing furnace. Iron does not become a sword through comfort. It is heated, struck, cooled, and struck again. Every blow that appears destructive is actually shaping the metal into something capable of enduring immense pressure. Human character develops in precisely the same way. Adversity is not proof that life has abandoned you. More often, it is proof that life has presented another opportunity to refine you. Every disappointment tests your patience. Every temptation strengthens your restraint if you refuse to surrender. Every setback asks whether your commitment depends upon convenience or conviction. This is why the Stoics viewed obstacles differently from almost everyone else. Where others saw interruption, they saw instruction. Where others found excuses to quit, they discovered reasons to continue. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Those words are not poetic decoration. They describe one of the most practical mental shifts ever recorded. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" the disciplined mind asks, "How can this make me better?" That single question transforms frustration into fuel. Yet there is one enemy more dangerous than failure itself. It is comfort. Failure often teaches painful but valuable lessons. Comfort, when pursued without restraint, quietly weakens the soul. A life built entirely around convenience slowly erodes courage, patience, and resilience. The modern world constantly promises easier paths, instant gratification, and effortless success. Every notification demands your attention. Every distraction offers immediate pleasure. Every shortcut whispers that discipline is unnecessary. But the Stoics would remind us that whatever repeatedly controls your attention eventually controls your life. True freedom is therefore not the ability to do whatever you desire. It is the ability to refuse desires that weaken your character. A person who cannot resist distraction is not free. A person who cannot endure boredom without reaching for endless entertainment is not free. A person who depends upon praise to feel valuable is not free. Freedom begins the moment your decisions are guided by reason instead of impulse. This is why daily discipline matters far more than dramatic acts of willpower. Character is not forged during extraordinary moments alone. It is built during ordinary mornings when no one is watching. It grows through keeping promises made to yourself long after the excitement has faded. Every disciplined action, however small, becomes another vote for the person you are becoming. Every neglected responsibility becomes another vote for the person you are trying to leave behind. The remarkable truth is that the world rarely notices these quiet victories. No applause follows the decision to wake early, to complete difficult work before seeking pleasure, to remain calm when insulted, or to keep moving after disappointment. Yet these invisible choices accumulate until they become impossible to ignore. Others begin calling such people lucky, gifted, or naturally disciplined, never realizing they are witnessing the result of countless unseen decisions repeated over many years. The Stoics understood that greatness is almost always invisible while it is being built. Trees spend years strengthening their roots before their height commands admiration. Mountains are shaped over ages by forces too slow for ordinary eyes to notice. Human excellence follows the same law. The strongest mind is rarely created by dramatic transformation. It emerges through consistent obedience to principles that remain unchanged regardless of emotion or circumstance. So ask yourself one final question. When your life reaches its final chapter, what will matter more, the comfort you protected or the character you forged? The answer determines every choice you make today. The hidden secret to unbreakable self-discipline has never been hidden because it was complicated. It has been hidden because it demands responsibility. It asks you to stop waiting for perfect conditions, stop negotiating with your weaknesses, stop seeking validation from strangers, and begin ruling the only kingdom that has always belonged to you, your own mind. From this day forward, remember the lesson the Stoics left behind. Guard your attention as your greatest treasure. Master your reactions before attempting to control circumstances. Welcome obstacles as teachers rather than enemies. Work in silence while others chase recognition. Judge yourself by your character instead of public opinion. And when life becomes difficult, as it inevitably will, do not ask for an easier path. Become the kind of person who can walk the difficult path with unwavering strength. That is the hidden secret. Self-discipline is not a talent reserved for a fortunate few. It is a decision renewed every day. It is the quiet refusal to surrender your mind to fear, comfort, distraction, or approval. Master that decision often enough, and you will discover something greater than success. You will discover a peace that no failure can destroy, a confidence that no criticism can diminish, and a strength that no hardship can break. That is the legacy of the Stoics, and it remains available to anyone courageous enough to live it.